Good morning, I'm Madison Kanda.
And I'm Fiona Egan. Welcome to the Anderson News Network. It's been a long year filled with jaw-dropping moments, and today we'll be talking about the major topics that had all of us stop and ask questions.
The issue of Bleeding Kansas left many Americans stunned. The series of violent political conflicts between the anti-slavery states and the pro-slavery states concerned all of us. The cause of the confrontation was the question of whether Kansas would be admitted as a free state or as a slave state into the Union. When the Kansas-Nebraska Act was put into place, tensions only intensified. Kansas was eventually admitted into the Union as a free state, and Southerners were outraged. Politicians have tried to calm both sides down, but the damage had already been done.
The case of Dred Scott, a black man requesting freedom from the Supreme Court, had many of us thinking in a new perspective about who has and who deserves the rights in this country. In the Dred Scott versus Sandford ruling with Roger B. Taney as the Chief Justice, the Supreme Court ruled that blacks, whether they were free or enslaved, were not American citizens and they received no protection under the Constitution. Because of this, they argued blacks were not legally capable of suing for their freedom in the Supreme Court. In addition, the court ruled the government's regulation on slavery in the territories was unconstitutional. This ruling was debated throughout the nation as an issue of slavery continued. This is evident in the Lincoln-Douglas debate of 1850. The Sumner Brooks incident has brought up even more questions on whether the free versus slave problem will ever be reconciled. With the election leaving America in a state of disunification, the only uniting theme apparent in all these stories seems to be division. Now we will take you to one of our reporters in the field.
This is Kristen Burns reporting for the Anderson News Network. Today we would like to welcome Supreme Court Justice Roger B. Taney to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're a very big part of the Dred Scott case. Tell us about your stance and involvement.
Well, as you know, I'm a staunch supporter of slavery and intent on protecting Southerners from northern aggression and hostility. It was absurd for Dred Scott to ask for his freedom as he is a Negro and not a citizen of the United States.
How do you respond to the argument that all men are created equal as stated in the Declaration of Independence?
Surely our forefathers were referring to white men specifically when drafting the Declaration.
I see.
Essentially, I feel that Negroes gaining freedom is a direct attack on slavery, America's most lucrative and old traditions, and I will not allow that to happen.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Senator Charles Sumner was a strong abolitionist who made a speech in May 1856 entitled The Crime Against Kansas that directly insulted and targeted Senator Andrew P. Butler. Days later, Congressman Preston Brooks attacked Sumner with a cane until he became unconscious and unable to perform his duties for years to come. Brooks gained the nickname Bully Brooks and won popularity in the South. Sumner, in contrast, was revered as a martyr in the North. This event marks how deep the divide is between the North and the South.
Good morning. We would like to welcome Congressman Preston Brooks to the show.
Thank you.
We would like to get right to the point today.
Of course.
Your name was surrounded by a lot of controversy in the past year. Tell us about that.
Basically, this whole scandal started when I took it upon myself to protect my family against the slander that was being spewed by Senator Sumner.
How do you respond to those that say that your attack was vulgar and unnecessary?
I would ask all those people if they would be willing to stand around while someone was attacking their flesh and blood.
So your attack was not based on your political agenda?
Not at all. Congressman Keith, Congressman Edson, and I were teaching Sumner a lesson that was long overdue.
And this was a case of?
Respect, of course.
As it stands, many believe that your attack on Sumner was based on his anti-slavery state message and his attack on your uncle.
While I do support slavery as it's beneficial to our economy, and I strongly disagree with Sumner's view that all that support slavery are devils, I reacted solely to the personal attack on my family.
While some view you as honorable and others as barbaric, we can all agree that you're a person of interest of the past year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome back. The results of the 1856 election will reveal the true state of our conflicted nation. Now back to the political analyst to weigh in on the issue.
One of the most talked about topics was the presidential election of 1856. As we all know, Stephen A. Douglas coveted the Democratic nomination, but due to his involvement in Bleeding Kansas, was turned down on account of his tarnished reputation. The Democrats replaced him with a more favorable candidate, James Buchanan. Buchanan was popular in the South, which was a strategic part of the Democrats' plan to win the election. The Democrats supported the Kansas-Nebraska Act and popular sovereignty. They opposed the free state elements within Kansas. Republicans also had a plan. They chose John C. Fremont, a man that was not big in politics and was labeled the Pathfinder, as their candidate. Also of interest, the Know Nothing Party nominated former President Millard Fillmore as their candidate. The Republican strategy of mudslinging and blaming the Democrats for Bleeding Kansas failed. Buchanan won, but by a very small margin. The election brought a weak president into leadership of our badly divided nation.
We'd like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in to the annual review of the nation's most important events. This has been the Anderson News Network. Have a nice evening.